Hello guys, I'm Yadagiri and welcome to my channel HY Tutorials. In this video, I'll explain about how you can capture the screenshots only for the failed test in TestNG. So whenever we are working with test automation, we have to capture the screenshots and logs. So this is a very important step in test automation, right? So we have to capture the screenshots and logs because these are going to help you in many ways, guys. So one of the ways, like if you want to analyze any test failure, you need to have the logs and screenshots, correct? The log file will give you the technical information, like because of which exception it is failed and what exactly is the exception, all those things it will give you. And whereas the screenshot will give you the visual information. Sometimes even though the log file is not providing you the clear information, when you look at the screenshot, you will get a clear understanding like why the test is failed, correct? In which screen it is failed and why it is failed, what exactly is the reason, all those things you can understand from the screenshot, correct? These screenshots and log files, both are equally important, guys. But in some of the scenarios, the screenshots are going to be weighing more than the log files actually, because they will help you more in understanding the failures and a lot of things actually, okay? So that is why screenshots are very important, fine? And not just this way, guys. So for suppose you found that this is a failure. So once the analysis is completed, you found that it is actually a bug. So you have to log the bug, right? So whenever you're logging the bug, you need to again attach the screenshots. So even during that time also, you need the screenshots, right? And sometimes there will be some intermittent issues. So whenever you execute your test automation over the night or something, you may find some issues, okay? But when you try to reproduce that issue in the morning time, it may not be reproducible. So developer will not accept that, right? So during that time, these screenshots will help you a lot. So if you can capture the screenshots whenever the test is failed during that night time, those screenshots you can upload and you can log a bug. So developer cannot deny that, right? So screenshots are like a weapon to the tester, guys. Screenshots are like a weapon to the tester. So screenshots are very important. That is what I'm saying, fine? So you all knew how to capture the screenshots using Selenium WebDriver, right? So in our previous videos, like in Selenium Java playlist, I have already shown you how to capture the screenshots, right? So if you don't know, let me just show you how to do that. So just type HYR tutorials and then screenshot, that's it, and press enter. You can see we got two results here, right? That is coming from HYR tutorials website. So the first video is actually in English language. So the first video is in English language and the second video is in Telugu language. So if you are coming from Telugu background, you can watch the second video. If you are coming from English background, then you can watch the first video. So in this video, I have explained clearly like how to capture the screenshot and how to store it in our local drive. So all those things I have clearly explained, guys. So while capturing the screenshots, there are 3 modes actually. So all those modes also I have shown. So usually whenever you go to YouTube and if you search for these videos, right? So usually everybody will show you only with one type, but I have shown you all the types, guys. So if you don't know how to capture the screenshots, just go here and type this one and watch these videos first. Then come back to this current video, guys. Fine. So I'm guessing that you all watched the video or you all knew what exactly the screenshot is and how to capture the screenshot, all those things, right? So whenever we want to capture the screenshot, we are going to write some 4 lines or 5 lines of code, correct? But when the test is failed, only during that time I want to capture the screenshot, not every time, right? So why do I need to capture the screenshot when the test is passed? So it's a waste of time and waste of memory also, correct? So how do I identify whether the test is failed or not? And how do I capture the screenshots only when the test is failed? So how can you do that? I will tell you normal way and then I will tell you the professional way, actual way, okay? So whenever you have a test annotation method, so that means the test method. So inside the test method, your code will be there, right? Your test code will be there. So you can completely surround that code with a try catch block. And whenever there is an exception occurs, so let me just write it so that you will understand. So let's take one sysout statement only, and I'll just print hello in the console. So due to some issue, so this statement will never actually fail, but due to some issue, assume that this is failing actually. So in normal way, how do you take the screenshots for this? What you can do is you can just enclose this entire thing inside the try catch block, correct? So whenever there is an exception occurs, so it will come to the cache block. Am I correct? It will come to the cache block and you can just cache that exception and do whatever you want to do. So here you can add the code for capturing the screenshot. Am I correct? So this way, whenever your test method is failed, you can actually capture the screenshot. So you're able to do that, correct? But why do we need to learn these things separately? It's just a small logic, right? So what exactly is the issue here? Why do we need to learn this capturing the screenshots only for the failed test in a separate video? So what exactly are you going to teach me? So that is your doubt, right? So I'll tell you guys. So whenever you are doing like this, right, there will be so many problems. So the first problem is your code is actually repeating, right? You are trying to enclose everything inside the try catch. Am I correct? So you are ultimately wasting some lines. Maybe this is one line and this is one line, and maybe these will be like 4 or 5 lines. So for every test method, you are obviously wasting 6 or 7 lines of code. So you are repeating that code basically, right? So you are violating your automation principles also, the code principles. So this is not the correct way to do. You can do this, okay? For some time, if you don't know how to do this thing, you can do this process because it will help you in capturing the screenshots only for the failed scenarios, correct? But this is not the correct way, guys. This is not the actual professional way that we need to follow. So there is a separate way in which we can capture the screenshots only for the failed test in TestNG. Fine. So let's see how to do that one. So in how many ways we can actually achieve this? So there are actually 2 ways. So I'll tell you both the ways in this video, guys. Okay. So this is the agenda and I'm going to explain each and every point in detail. Fine. So the first one is using TestNG listeners and the second one is using dependency injection. So these are the 2 ways we are going to see in this video. So that is second point and third point. And then last we will see how to avoid screenshots overriding. So whenever you are capturing the screenshots and storing it in your local drive, you are always overriding the screenshot, right? So if you provide the screenshot name as test.jpg, whenever you capture for the second time, the first one will be overridden. So you will have only the latest information there, right? So how to avoid that problem? That also I will show you guys, because sometimes we want to keep this old reports also, like results or reports, whatever you say, or screenshots. Sometimes we want to keep the old reports also, and we want to only take the screenshots and store it in our local. We don't want to override the things, right? So how to do that, that also I will show you. So this video is going to be a little lengthy, guys, I'm sure. So please watch this video till the end. Fine. So first thing is, in how many ways we can achieve this and what are they? So as I mentioned, in 2 ways we can actually achieve this process. So those are, one is using TestNG listeners and the other one is using dependency injection. So these are the 2 ways in which we can actually capture the screenshot. And let's see how to use those 2 ways, guys. So this is the first way and this is the second way, right? So first let's see how to use the TestNG listeners for achieving this process. Fine. So let me open the Eclipse. So I'll create one package here, com.hyr.screenshots. Fine. So within this, let's first add the class, one test class I will add. And within this test class, I need to add some methods, right? So I'm not going to show you any dummy methods, guys, because I want to show you the real capturing screenshots thing, right? So I'm going to use the actual test cases here. So in one of my previous videos, when I started this TestNG series, I have created this class that is called first test. So in this class, I have test Google, test Facebook, and then test Orange HRM. So there are 3 test cases, okay? So the test cases are very simple, guys. So first let me copy these things and then I will tell you about the test cases, what exactly it is. So I'll just copy these things into this method. Fine. So now let me tell you what exactly the test cases are. So the first one is test Google. So what exactly it is going to do is it will open the Google website and then it will enter H5R tutorials in the search bar. So whenever you open the Google website, you will have a search bar, right? So here it will enter H5R tutorials and then it will press enter key. And then it will expect this as the title and we are just verifying the actual title with the expected title. That's it. And we are closing the browser. And the next one is test Facebook. So it will navigate to Facebook homepage, Facebook login page. And then in email address, I'm entering HYI tutorials. So obviously this is a invalid email address, right? So whenever you enter invalid email address, it should actually show some error messages kind of thing. So all those things I'm actually verifying here. Fine. So you can see I'm verifying that the email address or mobile number you entered isn't correct or something like that. And then test Orange HRM. So this Orange HRM is one website. Okay. So you can actually use this website for your testing purpose. So this is a beautiful website, guys. It has so many features inside this. So you can use this for your testing purpose. And inside this, I'm going to just do the login process, nothing else. I'll enter the username and I'll enter the password, and then I'll just click on login, and I should be able to see the welcome message. That's it. Okay. So these are the test cases I'm actually going to use. So there are 3 test methods. 3 are individual test cases. Fine. This is the test Google, and this is the test Facebook, and this is the test Orange HRM. Correct. So I just copied all these things, and let's identify the repeated code here, and let's remove that code first. Correct. So what exactly is the repeated code here? So in everything I'm opening the browser, right? So let's just cut this, and first let me create one more class, guys. So in real time, we will not use like this, right? We will create one base test class. So I'm going to create one class called base test. So you might rename this to anything, guys, base test or the, original test or something. So people usually, give random names also. So the best thing is base test. Okay. So in this, I'll create one method, public void setup. So first I want to set up the things, right? Like opening the Selenium WebDriver. So then I'll create one more method called tear down. So these are normal things, right? So setup and tear down are normal things. So I'll make these things as TestNG methods, guys. So I'll add some annotations here. Before running my test, actually, I want to open the browser, right? So I will take this as before test. Fine. So I'll take this as before test, and I will take this one as after test. So after completing the test, I want to close the browser. Fine. So first let's copy paste this thing, and this driver variable, I'm going to make it as class level variable, public static WebDriver driver. That's it. Okay. And here I will just write it as driver. So all these things you already knew, right? You might have already created a framework like this. So I'm just taking in the before test driver instance I'm creating, and then I'm maximizing the window. That's it. So I'm not adding the URL thing here because there are different URLs for every test, right? So inside this, I'll just add only one command, that is driver.quit. That's it. Fine. So let's refactor the class first. So here I have removed that one, and let me just remove these things also. And here this is also being removed, and let me remove the thread.sleep here also. I don't require any thread.sleep. So don't worry, guys, even if it is showing driver is as error, don't worry. I'm going to solve that one also. This is also being removed, and this is also removed. Fine. So now let's extend the base class here. Extends base class. You can extend any class here, right? So it's taking some other class. So we need the base, sorry, not base class. It's actually base test class. Okay. The class name is base test. Fine. So let's remove this. Okay. And let me remove these unnecessary imports. Why do we require these things? So these are removed, right? So now this class looks very good. So very neat and things, right? So there is no repeated code. So you're opening each and every URL inside one thing. And even you can modify these things also, guys. You can actually parameterize these things and get the URL from your TestNG XML file. A lot of things you can do, correct? But I'm not going to do all those things. I'll just keep it simple. So these are 3 test cases. And if you execute, let's see how many things will get passed and how many we want to fail, that we will see first. So I'm just running. So it will execute one by one, guys. So as you all know, it will follow the ASCII order, right? So I guess WebDriver setup is taking some time because WebDriver manager has to download the driver files in my local, right? So all the things are completed, I guess. Okay, so this test Facebook is not having the test annotation. That's why it's not executed, guys. So only two things are actually executed. One is test Google and one is orange HRM. So orange HRM is actually failed because something is wrong here. Admin is the username, admin123 is the password. I think that is correct, but there's some exception, like no such element exception. It's fine. So anyway, this is failing. So let's intentionally fail this so that we can capture the screenshot. And the Facebook one also will definitely get failed because I have added this very long back and I know this will definitely fail. So now what we need to do, we need to capture the screenshots using the TestNG listeners. Only when the test is failed, during that time we want to capture the screenshot, correct? So before that, first let's add the capturing screenshot code here. So you can create any utility function or you can place that code inside the base test also, fine. So I'll just add the method inside the base test. I'll mention capture screenshot, fine. And whenever you are capturing the screenshot, you need to pass that name here, right? So what name you actually want to provide to that screenshot. So I'll just mention it as string file name. So that screenshot is also a file only, right? So that is why I'm mentioning like this. And if you want the code directly, I mean, if you don't want to write all the steps and all, if you want the code directly, what you can do, just type GitHub HYR tutorials. So I'm making everything easy for you guys. So just open this, repository and go to Selenium Java or Selenium Java in Telugu. Anything is fine. And here, if you go here, there will be some class called test screenshots, right? So if you open that, the method is already available. The code, entire code is already available. So if you want to capture the screenshot using file method, you can use this code. If you want to use the bytes, you can use this. If you want to use the base64, you can use this. Okay. So I just want to use this thing file. So I'll just copy this and paste it here and I'll remove these comment lines. So I need to import these things. So I will press Ctrl+Shift+O. So it will automatically import all the references. So now it will just ask me to cast the driver. Okay. That is because we are not using the Chrome driver instance here directly, right? So your driver type is actually web driver. So that is why it is asking you to cast it. So what you can do, you can create one interface reference, actually take screenshot reference I'm creating. I'll just assign the driver here so that it will automatically give me the suggestion to cast. So when you just mouse over on that, it will ask you to cast it. And we will use this method here. So you all knew how to do these things, right? So even here also there is a method for that. You see, not this one. So this is the one. Okay. This one, if you are directly using Chrome driver, and this one, if you want to convert into take screenshot and then use. So you can directly copy paste these things in your class, guys. I have to just throw any exception, or I can just surround with try catch. So I'm just surrounding it with try catch so that I no need to throw the exception in further classes also. Fine. So yeah, once this is completed, it will just print screenshot saved successfully. And one more thing is here there is a file name. So I need to take this file name, just append this one here, file name, correct? So I'm actually capturing the screenshots and placing it inside the same project, guys. So when you mention dot and slash, that means it is referring to the current directory, current project only. So within the current project, it will create screenshots folder, and then within that screenshots folder, it will create the screenshot. So the screenshot capturing code is also ready. So let's create one class. So I'll just name this as iTestListener. So this is the class I'm creating for implementing the iTestListener. Fine. So what I need to write, I need to just write implements iTestListener. So why we are actually using the iTestListener? Can you guys guess that? So in my previous video, I have already shown you what exactly is the listener and how to use the listeners. And I have shown you the demo of iTestListener, correct? So in iTestListener, we have some methods called on success, on failure, right? On test success, on failure, on test failure. So whenever there is a failure for test, immediately there will be some event that will be triggered internally. So that event will be listened by the TestNG listener and this method will be executed, correct? So whenever there is a test failure, this method will be executed at the end of the test. So that is why I'm going to implement the iTest listener, guys. Fine. So I want only this method. I don't want to implement all the methods because I have no interest in implementing them. So how you can do that? You can just copy paste this, or you can right click on this and go to source and then just click on override implement methods. And here I want to select the on test failure. So this is the method and I click on OK. So automatically this snippet will come. Okay. So you just remove this, and within this method, what exactly you want to do? So whenever there is a test failure, what you want to do? You need to capture the screenshot, correct? So the screenshot capturing code we have already added in the base test. So we can extend this base test to this class, right? So this is a class and we can extend that base test here so that we can access this method. Or you can create the instance for the base test and call this method. Anything is fine. So usually we will do like this. We will extend the class extends base test. So we are extending the base test and we are implementing this interface. So here inside this, I'm going to call the capture screenshot method. You see, when I call the capture screenshot method, I no need to create any instance because I'm already extending the base test. So I'm calling the capture screenshot method and I need to pass the file name. So what is the file name usually we have to give? So whenever there is a test failure, the test screenshot should be always with the test name, correct? Your test name should be the screenshot name. So how do you get the test name here? So for that, you can use this variable, guys. So whenever the TestNG is triggering your execution, it will internally create one object called iTestResult. So for iTestResult object, there will be so many parameters. So there will be a test name, all those things will be available inside the iTestResult object. So by using this variable, you can get the test name. So let's see how to do that. So result dot get test name. So whenever you use this method, right, what exactly it will happen? So let me tell you that. So for every test annotation, you can provide the name, right? You can provide the name here. So test name. So if you provide the test name here, whenever you use the get test name method here, this test name will come there. So first let's add all the test names here and I will show you what exactly happens if you don't provide the test names also. Fine. So let's copy this. So I'm adding the test names here and the test name is test orange HRM. Fine. So we are adding the test name like this. So if you want to capture the screenshot with the same test name, you can just use this method called get test name. So get test name will return you the test name that you have provided within the test annotation. So this one. Okay. But if you want to actually get the method name, so this test orange HRM. So like this, if you want to get the method name, then there is a different method. So get method and then dot get method name. So if you use this one, right, it will retrieve this method name directly. In which test method the test failure is there, that test method name it will display. Okay, it will return basically. Fine. First I will take this test name and then I will capture the screenshots. And then I will use the method name also and I will capture the screenshots and I will use the test name that is coming from the XML file also and I will capture the screenshots. All the things I will show you. Don't worry. Okay. And then you need to append the .jpg or .png also, right? Because your test name or method name is not going to have those things. So first we will see the test name, guys. Okay. Get test name. And then .jpg I'm going to add. JPG or PNG, any image extension you can add here. Fine. So that's it, guys. So this is the thing that you need to actually do. And now let's create one TestNG XML file. So already one TestNG XML file is there. First let's, copy paste this thing. TestNG XML2. So this one I will modify. I will not touch the original one. And listener. So where exactly is your listener present? So this is my listener, right? So this is the package name. So first we need to provide the package name and then your listener class name, correct? So these things we already seen in our previous video, guys. If you don't know, please go and watch my previous video about the TestNG listeners. Fine. And then your class name. So what exactly is your class name? So this is the package name, right? So first let's add the package name here for this and for this also. Fine. Then your class name is test class only. Okay, so test class. Yeah. So inside that we are going to keep only one method. That method is test Google. So I'm going to create 3 test cases basically. Fine. So this is one test case and the name is test1, and then this is test2. So here also I'm going to add only one method, and that method will be test Facebook. Guys, this is very easy things. You all knew how to do these things already, right? So please don't say that you don't know all these things, guys. If you don't know, please watch my previous videos. Okay. And I'm creating the test3. So I'm creating basically 3 test cases, and the last one I need to update, that is test orange HRM. So this is the name of the method. So we have 3 test cases and we have mentioned the listener also here. So if I run this now, what should happen? So for whatever the test cases that are actually failing, for those test cases, it should capture the screenshots and it should place inside my project, right? First, let's see whether we have any screenshots folder or not. If we have, we will delete it. So inside this, we don't have any screenshot folder, right? So let's minimize this and let's close this. So you all understood, right? What exactly we are doing here? I have created one class with 3 test cases, and I have created one base test class also. And to just remove the duplication of code, I have added these things. So before test annotation and after test annotation I have added. And in the before test, I'm opening the browser, and in the after test, I'm closing the browser. And I have added one method called capture screenshot also. And we are just calling this capture screenshot method inside the class where we implemented the iTest listener. Fine. So this is the simple thing that we are actually doing. So now let's execute this. So first Google is executed and Google is actually passed. And now Facebook is executing, it's failed. And then orange HRM. So intentionally I have provided the wrong password, right? So this is also failed. So 3 test cases are failed. And if you maximize the console, you can see screenshot saved, and there is no screenshot saved for the first test because the first one is passed, correct? So even here you can see test Google is passed and test Facebook and test orange HRM is only failed, correct? So let's go back and see. We have a screenshots folder, that is good. And let's open that. So there is only one thing, guys, that is null. So what exactly is happening here? We are getting the thing as null. So I have added the test name also, right? What exactly is happening? Let's check. So what is happening here? We are using the get test name only here. So the test name, if this results related instance implements iTest or use test name, null otherwise. Okay, so we have added these things correctly, but still we are getting it. So let's just print the name here and let's see whether we are actually able to get the name or not. So I'll just mention this and let me execute this again. Okay, so it's actually coming as null. So not sure why it is behaving like this, because we are actually adding the test name and the test annotation is also coming from TestNG only. So everything is good, but still we are getting this thing. Test name is a string and by default it will be empty, but we are replacing it. So it should actually come, but due to some issue it is not coming, not sure why. So let's not waste the time here. So maybe because of some TestNG version error or something, it's not coming here. Okay, that's fine. So we will take the method name and we will try that. So get method. So you can try that, guys. You can try that with different versions and maybe you will get the success. Okay. So then get method name. So now let's try with the get method name. Okay. So earlier what happened is, because it is returning null, it actually captured the screenshot for both the things, like Facebook and Orange HRM also it captured. But because both are having the same name, it replaced, it overrided. So now I'll just remove this and let's try one more time from this one. Yeah. So now if you open the console, you can see the method names are actually returned, right? That means your screenshots will have the method names properly. Now you see, for only the failed test cases, it actually captured the screenshot, correct? So you can open this. So for test Facebook, it captured the screenshot, and then for Orange HRM also, it captured the screenshot. You can see invalid credentials is written here, right? And here also HYR tutorials, wrong credentials is written here, right? So it actually captured the screenshot when the test is failed. So this is working correctly. Am I correct? So this is working exactly as expected. But what happens if I try to run this same thing again? What happens in that scenario? Let's execute this. So the same execution, nothing is changed, guys. But your screenshots will be overridden. You are going to lose the screenshots. So in the previous execution, you captured the screenshots and those screenshots are gone. And now a new screenshots are actually updated here, correct? So you are losing the data, right? You are losing the previous run reports or results basically, right? So how to keep everything here? How to do that? You can just create the folders. So if you can create the folders, even though if your test names are actually same, it will not matter, because when you have multiple folders, it will not matter anything, right? So let's implement that topic here. So how to do that? So let's go to the base test. So here, after screenshots, I want to create one more folder. Then inside that folder, I want to put the screenshot. So how do I create that folder uniquely? So it's always better if you take the date and timestamp, guys. So if you take the date and timestamp, right, it's always going to be a unique thing. So even if I mention something here, it may be unique for the first time, but it's not unique for the second time, right? Second time that folder is already present, so it will not be again unique. So that's why always take the date and timestamp so that it will always be unique. Fine. So do you know about the date and time, guys? If not, don't worry, I'll show you. So just type date and time. Okay, date and time in Java. Sorry. So let's take the first one. So everything is clearly explained here, guys. What exactly is the date time in how many classes we have in Java. So all these things are already explained here. So if you know the date and time, you are very good. You can directly implement that. So here there is something called formatting date and time. So I'm going to use this thing, guys. So I want the date and time to be in particular format so that I can create the folder name basically. Fine. So I'll just copy this entire thing and I'll put it here. So let's refactor this now. So local date and time, let's import this, and date formatter also let's import. And I'll create one variable here, public static. What should I mention? I'll mention as screenshots subfolder name. So anything, guys, it's just a normal name only. Fine. So if the screenshot subfolder name is actually null, then I need to create the screenshot subfolder name. Then I need to create that folder, correct? So if it is null, then only I need to create. And inside this, I will try to copy paste this entire thing. So why I'm doing this? Because for every test, you need to have the screenshot separately. Okay, for every execution, not for every test. For every execution, you need to maintain the screenshots separately. So for that, I'm going to do this thing, guys. So now the date and time object is created, and before formatting, this is the date. So we don't want to print that. And so we are creating one formatter thing, and after formatting, we are getting this date, right? And we don't want to print this one is either. And what is the format that you want, that you need to specify here. So I don't want to mention the hyphens, and I want something like this. So your seconds will always change. So always this will return you the unique screenshot folder only, guys. So now this formatted date I don't require. So I'll just take this variable itself. So what exactly I'm doing? So whenever the screenshot subfolder name is null, I'm actually creating one folder name and I'm attaching that to the screenshot subfolder name. So whenever you execute your XML file, for the first time, it will be null. So when it is null, it will immediately create the subfolder and it will add. So this I need to add here. Am I correct? And then just add like this, because within the folder I need to create the file name, correct? So now it is good. So within the screenshots, I'm creating one folder with the date and timestamp, and within that I'm adding the screenshots. Okay, so whenever I execute the XML file, that time it will create one folder with the timestamp, and within that it will put the screenshots. And next time when I execute again, it will create a new folder and it will put the screenshots inside this, right? So let's execute this and see. So I'm going to remove the screenshots that are available here, and let's execute this. So this is the fourth point here, guys. Okay, how to avoid screenshot overriding. So that is what we are actually looking now. So once this is completed, I will explain about the third point. So now you can see this is the date and timestamp that is created 02/02/2022 and 23/54/34. So this is the date and this is the time with seconds. So next, if you execute this again, let's execute. So all the three test cases are executed and two are failed as expected. And if you go to the results, you can see the previous results we are not losing actually, correct? The previous results we are not actually losing. If you open this, here we have the screenshots, and if you open this, here also we have the screenshots. Your results will not be overridden. You will always have the previous results copy, guys. So whenever you want to delete, you can delete manually. So until then, you will have the results. Fine. So this is how you can actually avoid the screenshots overriding thing. So now how to capture the screenshots, that we have already seen now using the listeners. And then how to avoid the screenshots also we have seen, right? And one more thing I have missed, guys. So that is, so till now we're actually getting the name as this one, right? Method name we are getting and we are adding it, right? But I don't want to actually take the method name, because within a single test, I can have multiple test methods, right? So in your XML file, you can have multiple test methods. So this is your test case name actually, correct? This is your test case name. But if you are using this method name, it's not so good, right? So what you can do, you can append this one also, or you can take the screenshot with this name itself. So how do I get this name? Test1, test2, and test3. How do I get that? So let's see that one also. So that will not be directly available under result, guys. That will not be directly available under result, but there is a small trick that you can do. So first you need to get the context. Type result dot get text context. The test context you need to get, and within this you need to get the name. So when you get the name, it will return the name of the test. You can add some kind of formatting also, maybe underscore or something like that. So your test name will be there, and then your method name will be there. So it's easy to identify, right? So now let's copy this entire thing and put it here. So this is for printing in the console, and this is for actually creating the screenshot. So now let me execute this. And this time test1 underscore test Facebook, like that it should capture, right? Let's see. So the test execution is completed, and let's go to the latest one, test orange HRM, test orange HRM. So which one is our latest one? Okay, this is our latest one, guys. Okay, sorry. So if you see test2 underscore test Facebook, test3 underscore test orange HRM. So your test names are also coming along with your test method name. In which method actually it is failed, that is also coming here, right? So this way it is easy. So this screenshot is actually coming from the test2, and within the test2 in test Facebook method, it's actually failed. So you can easily identify, right? So you can name your screenshots like this, guys, something meaningful, so that you will easily understand in which thing it is actually failed. So with that, the second point is completely completed. And next, how to capture the screenshots for a failed test in TestNG using dependency injection. So what exactly is a dependency injection? So dependency injection means you are not going to send the values. You will not send any values, but TestNG will directly inject the values at the runtime. So that we call it as dependency injection here, guys. Okay. So let me just go to the Eclipse. So till now we have seen how to execute from the TestNG XML file using the listeners, right? So now I'm not going to use the listeners. So first let me remove the listeners. So this is the first step I'm going to do. I'm not using the listeners anymore, right? So I need to implement the TestNG dependency injection. So how to do that? So for that you need to add after method annotation. So then we'll add one method, public void. I'll just mention as screenshot capture, the method name as. So here we are going to add one variable, guys, but this variable data we are not going to pass, but TestNG will directly feed that data using the dependency injection concept. Okay. So just like how the TestNG is actually feeding this data using the dependency injection concept, similarly it will feed the data. So even in this one also, TestNG is actually injecting the data. We are not passing this data from anywhere, right? So TestNG knows that we have to pass this test result object here. TestNG has created the test result object internally, and that data it is directly injecting here. So this concept is called as dependency injection. So the same variable I'm going to copy and I'll just paste it here. So within this after method annotation, you can inject the iTest result object. You got it? Within this, you can actually inject the iTest result object. And then you have to add one condition, that is result dot. So you need to verify the result first, right? Only for the failed test, you are going to capture the screenshot. So that means you need to first identify which is a failure, which is a past one, right? So result dot get status, and it is going to return you an integer, guys. It will not say like failed or passed or something like that. So it will return you one integer. So how do you get this integer? You can see all the integer values are already displayed here. For created -1, for success 1, for failed 2, and for skip 3. So these values we need to compare. So here I'll just mention equal iTest result dot failed. So if I want to identify whether any test is failure or not, I need to add this condition. So if the test is actually failed, then what I need to do? The same thing that I'm actually doing inside this. The same thing, guys. I'm not going to change anything. Okay. So the same thing I'm going to do from here also. So that's it, guys. Okay. So now this is completed. So I'm not going to change anything. So all I have did is I have added one annotation called after method here, and this will be executed after every test method. Correct? After every test method, it will try to see whether the test method is actually passed or not. If the test method is failed, it will immediately capture the screenshot and it will not go to further methods also, right? And then after test, the driver will be closed. So now you can see after method will be executed, and after that after test will be executed. Clear? So now let's execute this. So before executing, what is the folder that we have lost? This 5801 is the folder, right? So let's execute this now. The concept will be always same, guys. The screenshot capturing thing and everything will be same. It's just that you are adding the one annotation inside your base test and you are doing this thing instead of using the listeners. So I'm not using any listener. I'm just using the TestNG annotation itself. Correct? So now the execution is completed, and let's go to the test folders. And this is the folder that is created now, right? So let's open this, and you can see the screenshots are captured perfectly. So this is how you need to actually capture the screenshots using dependency injection concept, guys. You got it? So let me summarize the entire thing one more time. In how many ways we can actually achieve this process, and what are they? In 2 ways we can actually achieve this process. The process is capturing the screenshots only for the failed test in TestNG. In 2 ways we can achieve this process. The first one is using TestNG listeners, and the second one is using dependency injection. So how to use the TestNG listeners here in this case? So first you need to implement the iTest listener interface, and within that I'm only implementing this method, that is on test failure, because I want to capture the screenshots only when there is a failure. So I'm actually implementing this method, and within this I need to add the code for capturing the screenshot. You can directly place this entire code also there, guys. Okay, so all we need to do here is we need to implement the screenshot capturing code. That's it. And next we need to add the TestNG listeners here to specify which listener you want to actually use. Fine. And that's it. If you execute, it will capture the screenshots. Okay. And then how do you capture the screenshot for a failed test using the dependency injection? For using the dependency injection, we need to add one annotation called after method. So within this after method annotation, you can actually get the object of iTest result. So TestNG will directly inject this data. You don't need to inject anything. So TestNG will inject this. So once you get this result, you need to identify whether the test is failed or not. And based on that, you need to capture the screenshots. That's it. And for how to avoid screenshots overriding, so it's very simple. You just create one folder with the date and timestamp. So implement the logic for that. And whenever you create a new folder with date and timestamp, it will be always unique. So your previous results will not be overridden. So that's how you can actually avoid screenshot overriding concept. Fine. So I'm guessing that everyone understood this topic very clearly. So if you haven't understood anything here, please watch the video carefully again. And even then, if you don't understand, mention that in the comment section below, or you can mail me. So anything is fine, guys. Okay. So that is for this video, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.